Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into a classic fairy tale that's packed with lessons about how we treat others. It's the story of diamonds and toads, a powerful reminder that what's in your heart ultimately shapes your destiny. So grab a comfy seat, and let's explore this enchanting tale together. In a small village, there lived a widow with two daughters. Her eldest, Clarice, was the spitting image of her mother. Arrogant, selfish, and just plain unpleasant. The mother doted on Clarice, seeing her own reflection in her daughter's sour disposition. On the other hand, there was the younger daughter, Marianne. She was as kind and gentle as her sister was harsh. Despite her sweet nature, Marianne was constantly belittled and forced to do all the household chores. Her mother and sister treated her like a servant, never missing a chance to make her life miserable. Marianne bore it all with patience, her gentle spirit shining through even in the face of cruelty. One of her daily tasks was to walk a long, tiring path to the village well to fetch water. It was a heavy burden, but she never complained. Little did she know, one of these trips to the well would change her life, and her family's, forever. On a particularly hot afternoon, as Marianne reached the well, she saw a poor, frail old woman leaning heavily on a staff. The woman looked exhausted and parched, her voice barely a whisper as she asked, "My dear child, could you spare a drop of water? I am so very thirsty." Without a moment's hesitation, Marianne smiled warmly. "Of course," she said. She quickly rinsed her finest pitcher, filled it with the coolest water from the well, and carefully held it up for the old woman to drink. This simple act of kindness was more significant than she could ever imagine. For this was no ordinary old woman. She was a fairy in disguise, testing the hearts of mortals. Once her thirst was quenched, the fairy's form shifted, revealing her true, radiant self. She looked at Marianne with a benevolent smile. "You have a beautiful and kind heart," the fairy declared. "Such goodness should not go unrewarded. From this day forward, I grant you a gift. Whenever you speak, a flower or a precious jewel shall fall from your lips." Marianne was stunned, but before she could say a word, the fairy vanished. Confused but grateful, Marianne hurried home. As she walked through the door, her mother immediately started scolding her for being late. "I'm so sorry, Mother," Marianne began to explain, and as she spoke, two perfect roses, two shimmering pearls, and a sparkling diamond tumbled from her mouth and onto the floor. Her mother's eyes widened in disbelief, then narrowed with greed. "What is this? How did this happen?" she demanded. Trembling, Marianne recounted her encounter with the mysterious woman at the well. The mother's mind began to race, not with pride for her daughter's kindness, but with a burning desire for more wealth. She immediately turned to her favorite daughter, Clarice. "You," she barked, "go to the well at once, and when you see a poor old woman, be sure to give her a drink. I want you to have the same gift." Clarice scoffed. "Me? Go to the well? As if!" But the thought of spitting out diamonds was too tempting to resist. So grumbling and complaining the entire way, she grabbed the fanciest silver pitcher and stomped off towards the well. When Clarice arrived, she didn't see an old beggar woman. Instead, a lady of breathtaking beauty, dressed like a princess, gracefully approached her. This, of course, was the same fairy, now testing a different kind of heart. "Good day," the princess said politely. "I've just come from a grand ball and am quite thirsty. Would you be so kind as to draw some water for me?" Clarice looked the princess up and down with a sneer. "Do I look like your servant?" she snapped back. "I suppose you think I brought this silver pitcher just for you? If you're thirsty, go get the water yourself." The fairy's pleasant expression hardened. "You are as rude as you are unpleasant," she said, her voice losing its warmth. "Since you are so lacking in kindness, you too shall receive a gift that matches your character. From this moment on, every time you speak, a snake or a toad will fall from your lips." With that, the fairy disappeared, leaving Clarice fuming. She stormed home, completely unaware of the curse that had just been placed upon her. The moment Clarice burst through the door, her mother eagerly asked, "Well, did you get the gift?" "Mind your own business, mother," Clarice retorted. As the words left her mouth, two slimy toads and a viper flopped onto the floor. Her mother shrieked in horror. "What have you done, you wretched girl?" she screamed. But every time Clarice tried to defend herself, more repulsive creatures spewed from her mouth. The house was soon filled with snakes and toads, and the mother, in a fit of rage, chased Clarice out of the house. Despised and feared by everyone she met, Clarice had no choice but to flee deep into the forest, where she lived out the rest of her days in miserable solitude, forever cursed by her own wickedness. Her greed had brought her nothing but ruin. Meanwhile, Marianne's life took a very different turn. Her kindness, now paired with a gift that produced literal treasures, became known throughout the land. One day, the king's son was hunting in the woods near the village when he came across a beautiful young woman crying softly to herself. It was Marianne, who had been driven from her home by her mother's cruelty. The prince asked her why she was so sad. As she explained her story, a shower of lilies, diamonds, and emeralds fell from her lips. The prince was not just captivated by the jewels, but by the purity and goodness of her heart that the gift represented. He saw past the magic and recognized the beautiful soul within. He fell deeply in love with her right then and there. He took her back to his palace, and with his father's blessing, they were married. Marianne became a beloved queen, her inherent kindness and generosity spreading throughout the kingdom, making it a prosperous and happy land for all. And what became of the cruel mother? After driving both her daughters away, one through greed and the other through rage, she was left all alone. She wandered her empty house, filled with the jewels Marianne had left behind, but they brought her no joy. Her wealth was cold comfort in her solitude. Consumed by her own greed and bitterness, she eventually died, alone and unloved. Her story serves as a stark warning that a life built on selfishness leads only to an empty end. This timeless tale of diamonds and toads beautifully illustrates a simple but profound truth. Our words and actions have power. Kindness, sincerity, and compassion are true treasures that enrich not only our own lives, but the lives of those around us, leading to happiness and love. In contrast, arrogance, selfishness, and cruelty breed only misery and isolation. The story encourages us to choose kindness, not for the hope of a magical reward, but because it is the right and most fulfilling way to live. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through a classic fairy tale. What are your thoughts on the story? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next story. Until next time, remember to be kind. Bye for now.